Hi students. In previous session in yesterday's class, we have discussed about the differences between the Java and Python. We have discussed. We have seen how the programs will execute, and after that, we have discussed about the other things related to uh, Python. Like we have seen, Python is simple and easy to learn. And after that, we have discussed about portable, then extensible, and then we have discussed about computer graphics, testing frameworks, artificial intelligence, then data science, like many other options we have discussed. So today we are going to discuss about Python flavors and other important features are there. We are going to discuss all those in today's class. We are going to discuss. So here for new students, I'll just recap. So this Python course is for 2 months, core and advanced Python. And within 2 months, we are going to discuss about all these contents. Here you can see in core Python, we are going to discuss about Python features, then installation and data types, number system, then string handling, input function and conversion functions, then operators, if condition, then if condition examples, for loop examples, while loop examples, then switch case examples, and then collection data types. So switch case is introduced in Python 3.10. In the latest version, it is introduced. So here switch case, then for loop examples, then while loop examples, and collection data types like list, tuple, set, dictionary, all these are there. And we'll discuss about string manipulations, regular expressions, then functions, exception handling, file handling, modules and packages, like all these are there. And in advanced Python, we are going to discuss about object-oriented programming, then developing desktop applications. Desktop applications we can call as GUI applications or Windows applications. And next one is internet and email, then networking, multi-threading, database programming, PDBs is there, Python database connectivity, then web scraping, like all these are there. So after completing all these, like from every chapter, we are going to discuss interview questions. And from every chapter, we'll see at least 20 programs, like 20 examples. And here we are going to discuss about 3.7, 3.8, 3.9, 3.10 features with examples. And after that, we are going to discuss about pandas, numpy, scientific Python, Seaborn, Matplotlib, advanced Python libraries or Python modules are there. So we are going to discuss about all those, and then we'll see the examples also. So all these we are going to discuss within 2 months. We are going to discuss, and project also will be there. So that project will be on desktop application with database integration. So we can use any database like SQLite database or MySQL or SQL Server or Oracle database. Any database we can use it. So students, in today's session, we are going to discuss about like Python flavors, and also we are going to discuss about the other important features we are going to discuss. So here, when we say about flavors of Python, here we can see many here. Like C Python is there, Jython, and Iron Python, Ruby Python, Anaconda Python, and Stackless Python. All these are existing here. All these are there. And here, when you see this C Python here, so this is it is written in C and Python. So C Python contains like C language header files, and Python libraries will be there. Python modules will be there here. So C Python is default, and it is most widely used implementation of the language. Okay. So Python means we should say C Python. Like if students are learning Python, it means that they are going to work with C Python. If any trainer is teaching Python, it means that the trainer is teaching C Python only. It is default, and it is the most widely used implementation of the language. Okay, and here you can see C Python. It is developed by Guido van Rossum. In previous classes, I have told, like Python is developed by Guido van Rossum, and C Python is developed by Guido van Rossum, and C Python is compiled and interpreted. So yesterday we have discussed this. Like yesterday I've told how the C program will work, Java program will work, and .NET Python program will work here. So yesterday we have discussed about this diagram here. So if you write a program in Python here, so that Python program is compiled and it gives a bytecode. So bytecode means we'll call it as a middle level language, or we'll call it as intermediate code or assembly language. Again, this bytecode is sent to PVM, Python virtual machine. So PVM will take bytecode and it will interpret the bytecode to native code or executable code. So here we are saying compiled and interpreted. So Python program is compiled and it is giving bytecode. So bytecode means not binary code. It is a middle level language. And again, bytecode is sent to PVM, Python virtual machine, and it is giving native code or executable code. It is giving here. Okay. So here, when we get the bytecode from the program, so when we get a bytecode from the program, then that bytecode will run in any operating system, in any machine, it will work. So bytecode is for portability, or it is for platform independence. Okay. So for that, bytecode is useful here. And here, like when we say about this Python here, so it is compiled and interpreted here. So here you can see this. Here you can see the definition. Python can be defined as both interpreted and compiler here. So interpreter. So as it and the compiler, as it compiles a Python code into bytecode before interpreting it. Okay, before interpreting it, Python code is converted to bytecode. And after that, PVM will interpret that bytecode to native code or executable code. See, whatever I've told in yesterday's class, whatever I'm explaining here, it is 100% correct. Okay. So here I'm just saying that Python is compiled and interpreted. Yesterday also I've told very clearly, now also I'm telling. So both the compilation and interpretation is done. Okay. So in my system, Python is installed here. So when Python is installed, when we download and when we install Python, it means that we are installing what? C Python. C Python we are using here. So in D drive, it is installed here. So in D drive, you can see this. Python 3.10.32 is the Python folder name. While installation, it will give many folders. All the folders have deleted. And this is a Python current working directory. Python current working directory that we are using here. Okay. So here Python 3.10 means 3.10.4, and 32 means 32-bit. So Python software is available in 2 bits, 32-bit and 64-bit. Later I'll tell what is the difference between 32 and 64-bit. Now here you can see the other subfolders here. Like here you can see include. So in include you can see C Python. In C Python you can see the header files. So C language contains header files. The header files you can see here. So you can see the header files here. And here also you can see header files. So here when we are using Python, it means that we are working with C Python here. So it is a default and it is most widely used implementation of the language. So here we are not going to write C programs. We are going to write Python programs only. In core and advanced Python, we'll focus on Python programming. But internally, it works with C language header files are used. And here you can see Jython or JPython is there here. So when we say Jython or JPython, like it is like a combination here. Okay. So whenever you want to work with Python code and also with Java code, then here we can use this Jython or JPython. We can use it. It works with JVM. Okay. And here when we are working with like a combination, so students may have doubt why we should use like uh, Python code in Java application. So why it is required? Okay. So when we say about Python, it is used for mathematical and numerical calculations. For automation, it is used. For handling data, it is used. And to develop different applications, also we are going to use it. Okay. So all these are there. So in that case, we can use like combination here. So in like Java application, in Java project, if I want to use Python code for doing some task, then we can use. So in that case, we can download this software, Jython or JPython, we can download and we can use it. Okay. Only to work with Java, JDK is there. Like many other softwares are available. And here next is Iron Python is there here. It is used for .NET. So those are working on C# in Microsoft .NET. In Microsoft projects, in .NET projects, if they want to use Python code, then we have to go with this combination. That is Iron Python is there. Okay. So when we use Iron Python, then we can execute .NET programs and also we can execute Python programs. So that possibility is there here. And here you can see Py is there here. So we'll call this as Python package index. Okay. So we can say P also. I'm saying Py. So it is used to download and install the Python packages developed by Python community or Python software foundation. So here in Python, when we say packages, package is the collection of modules. Python file or Python program is called as module. So module can have variables, functions, properties, classes, like all these can be there. We can give all these. Okay. And here while working with this Python packages here. Package is the collection of modules. In Java, we can say packages. So in Java, when we say package, it is the collection of classes and interfaces. So in C language, we have header files. So in header files, the functions will be there. We can call the functions and we can work with. And here you can see Ruby Python is there here. So Ruby means it is used for developing websites. We'll say Ruby on Rails. Ruby on Rails, RAILS. So it is used for developing websites. So while developing the websites, if you want to use Python code in that project, in that website, then we can use Ruby Python we can use. It is a combination of Ruby and Python is used here. So here I'm saying developing websites, and here while working with websites, we can see like client-side technologies, server-side technologies. Okay, all these are there. And in Python also we can see many frameworks for developing websites. So I will tell you all those now. Like here we'll discuss about the basics also. So many of you may be knowing basics, but here to get clarity, I'm repeating this. So in internet, like we can see, so many websites will be there in like in internet, like crores of websites are there. So every day thousand websites are hosted or published in internet, like new websites. And also thousands of servers, dedicated servers are connected to internet. So in every server some websites will be deployed or hosted or published. So here when we say about client system and server system, like we used to use this while working with internet. So here client system has a browser, and server system has a web server here. So browser is an application like Google Chrome or other applications. Browser is an application used to open the websites. And web server is a software or an application used to store and to run the websites. So what all websites are running in internet? Like all will works with web server. Without web server in the server systems, then we cannot work with websites. It is not possible. Like here for Java websites, Tomcat web server is used, and for .NET websites, IIS web server is used, like Internet Information Services. And for PHP websites, PHP is there software. So for PHP websites, Apache web server is used. And for Django websites, Python Django. So Django websites, Django development server is there, development web server. So that is used. So for different softwares, for different technologies, different web servers are available. And here when we are working with websites here, so website we can call it as web application, website or web application. So website contains pages, web pages, or we can say files also. Pages means they are nothing but the files. So here we can see static pages, and we can see dynamic pages here. So we can see dynamic pages. Okay. So here HTML pages, we'll call them as static pages, and dynamic pages are different here. I'll tell you what is the difference here. So here static pages we can call as HTML pages or read-only pages. So they are used to display the same information to all the users accessing the website. Okay, and here when we are working with static pages, they are controlled or managed by the browser. Browser can manage static pages or HTML pages or HTML files. Like it will allow us to move from one page to another page in the website, all these. So static pages or HTML pages examples are a home page or index page, first page in the website, then about us page, contact us page, then sitemap. Sitemap means information about the site, like what contents are there, what pages are available, like all these we can see. Okay, and here while working with these HTML pages or static pages, so depends on the requirement, we can create any number of pages like static pages. So in HTML pages or static pages, so here we are going to use UI technologies. UI technologies are used. Okay, user interface technologies. These we can call them as front end or client side technologies. Works in browser. So here we can say HTML, then JavaScript, and CSS, cascading style sheets, then jQuery, and next one is Bootstrap, then DOM. All these will be there. So here Bootstrap is there, DOM is there, document object model. Like while creating static pages, while creating HTML pages, we are going to use HTML, JavaScript, CSS, jQuery, Bootstrap, document object model. All these are used. Okay, so all these are used in Django classes. So those who join for Django later in future, so in Django classes, you are going to learn all this, like front end or client side technologies used for designing the pages. For designing the pages or to display content in the browser, then all these are used. All these we can use. And here we can see dynamic pages are there here. So dynamic pages. So dynamic pages are controlled or managed by the web server in the server system. So web server in the server system is going to manage these pages, dynamic pages. So in dynamic pages, from user to user, the information will change. Like it will not be the same to all the users accessing the website. So dynamic pages examples are like here we can say a login page, a registration page, change password, password recovery. Like all these are there. All these we can all these are used. Okay, so like for example in Gmail, after login is successful, when we enter into the website, then it will show inbox like mails what we have received. So in in Gmail, in Google Mail account, we can see crores of accounts will be there. So when we connect to Gmail with our account, it will show our mails in inbox. So when we see the mails list in inbox, that is dynamic data only, because from user to user, that information will change. Okay, so if you want to create pages where we can show the data from the server, whenever you want to show dynamic data from the server, when we are getting the data from the server, it is dynamic only. Okay, so if you want to send the data to server, if you want to access the data from the server, then in that case dynamic pages are used. So to create dynamic pages, here we are going to use backend or server side technologies. Backend or server side technologies. So here we can see PHP, then ASP, ASP.NET, then ASP.NET MVC, and next is JSP servlets. Then here Django, and next one is Node.js. Like all these are there here. Node.js and Ruby. Like all these are the backend or server side technologies used to send data to the server and used to access the data from the server. All these we can use. Okay. So here Python based framework means Django is there. So you can learn Django for creating dynamic pages or to show dynamic data in the browser. Django we can use. So here we have other frameworks also. Like yesterday we have discussed, like a Flask, Bottle, then Pyramid, Pylons, Web2Py, Turbo Gears, like many are there. Okay, so when students learn Django, then like all UI technologies are used, like a front end or client side technologies are used for designing the pages. Okay, and students will learn the differences between Django and Flask in Django classes. They can learn. Okay, so here you can see about static pages and dynamic pages. So while creating static pages, UI technologies are used. And for creating dynamic pages, you can use any one of these backend or server side technologies you can use here. And here we'll see one or two differences between static and dynamic pages. So websites in the internet works with HTTP or HTTPS protocol. Like HTTP is there, hypertext transfer protocol, and HTTPS is there, like secured will say. Okay, so here by default inbuilt security will be there with HTTPS. So when we are using HTTP protocol, we have to write code. We have to write programs to give all types of securities with the code or anything. Okay, So when we are working with websites in internet, so here we can see the protocol what is being used. So here I am typing durgasoft.com. So here when I give this, it is showing here. Like here it is showing a not secure HTTP. So this website is running with HTTP protocol. And if I say gmail.com, so this will runs with HTTPS. You can see HTTPS log symbol is there. Like the information is safe or it is secured. Okay. So here the websites in internet, they can work with HTTP or HTTPS. Like HTTP is a very old protocol. It is there from since 40 years. It is there. So still we are using HTTP protocol. Okay. So HTTP or HTTPS are called as stateless protocols. They cannot remember the values given in the pages in the website, and they cannot remember the pages opened in the. They cannot remember the pages opened in the website. So it is not possible to maintain the information. Okay, so we can say that they cannot maintain history. Okay, so if they are not maintaining data, if they are not remembering the URLs of the pages opened in the website, then students may have doubt. Then why we are using HTTP or HTTPS protocols? So HTTP or HTTPS is they are communication protocols used to transfer the data in network. Okay, so to maintain the data, to store the data, and to use the data across pages in the website or across multiple requests, across multiple sessions. Like a session means the time spent for browsing the website. That is called session. So in multiple sessions also we can use the data. We can use information. So here, if you want to store data and if you want to reuse it in across pages in the website, across multiple sessions, then here we can do with static pages and dynamic pages also. So while working with static pages to store and to use the data, then here in HTML5 web storage concept is there. In HTML5 web storage concept is there. Like it contains two, local storage and session storage is there. And in JavaScript we can see cookies. So by using web storage in HTML5 and by using cookies in JavaScript, we can store the information and we can use it. Web pages values or website information, anything. Okay. So, but when we store the data in browser, in client system using web storage or cookies, then it is not safe. And we can store limited data, and accessing the data is also slow. Okay, but when we are working with dynamic pages, so when we are working with dynamic pages, we can store web pages values or website information in the server, not in browser. In the server we can store. If the information is in the server, then we can use them across pages in the website. We can use in multiple sessions also. We can use it. If the information is stored in the server, when we are working with confidential data or sensitive data, like account number, credit card number, debit card number, PIN number, and when we are working with passwords and all, like if they are stored in server, they are safe. Then we can secure the data from middleman attacks, data tampering. Then we can secure the data from cyber crimes. Then from hackers we can secure the data. Okay, and in a server we can store large amount of data, and execution is also fast. Okay, so that you will learn in detail in Django classes. Okay, why it is fast here with dynamic pages, why it is slow there, that you learn in detail in Django classes. Okay, and here while working with dynamic websites, dynamic web pages, we can integrate with the database tables also. So we can connect the web pages with database tables. So we can integrate the web pages with MySQL, SQL Server, Oracle database, and we can transfer the data to the tables we can access. So whenever you want to store the data permanently in the server, permanently in database tables, then by using dynamic pages, it is done. Okay, and here whatever I've told now, all these comes under Ruby Python here. So for Ruby Python, I've given all these explanation here. Okay, so Ruby Python is the server side technology, or it is the backend technology used for creating dynamic pages or dynamic sites. Dynamic pages or dynamic sites, we can say. And in Ruby on Rails, if you want to use Python code or objects or functions, then it is possible with Ruby Python. This flavor we can use it. And here you can see like Anaconda Python is there here. I'm telling about the sixth one. So it is used for data science. So in data science, what they'll do is they'll take large volume of data, like which is a large volume of data related to their company or business. Okay, so it may be for 1 year or last 2 years or last 5 years. They'll take the data, they will analyze the information, and they will generate reports. So that is done with Anaconda Python. It is done. So it is specially designed for handling a large volume of data processing. For that, it is used. And here, stackless Python is there. It is used for concurrency, and it is used to do multiple activities concurrently or simultaneously. So in object-oriented programming, multitasking we can do, getting more than one result at a time. So in advanced Python, we are having one chapter called multi-threading chapter. Like what we do is we'll write the programs using multi-threading, and we'll use those programs in Python application. So when we use the multi-threading programs in Python application or Python project, then it is going to perform multiple activities at a time or multiple tasks at a time. So here we'll not download stackless Python and will not use in our projects, because there is a chapter there we can will write the code manually, we'll write the programs manually, and then we are going to implement all those. So here, students, this is about the flavors of Python here. I've told about many flavors like C Python, J Python, Iron Python, Ruby Python, Anaconda Python, Staglet. Different softwares are available. So Python default software is C Python. So as I said in the beginning, it is default and it is most widely used implementation of the language. It is both compiled and interpreted, and it is developed by Guido van Rossum. So this is about flavors of Python. So now we are going to continue with features here. So we are going to discuss about important features that are available in Python. So today we'll see some features. Tomorrow we'll continue with the other features, and we'll see what all applications we can develop. After that, we'll see Python installation, interactive mode, batch mode, then data types. We'll see all one by one. Okay. So in Python features, first one is that is Python is easy to learn and easy to use also. Okay, this I've told in previous sessions. And Python is expressive language. So expressive language means it is more understandable and it is more readable also. So we can understand this like easily, and reading the statements also will be easy, because in Python we'll not use the complex words like in Java what we use. Like whatever words that we use like for speaking, like spoken English, the same words are used here, like print function, input function, then walk function, run, sleep. like many other words will be like this. So here you can see cross platform language is there here. So cross platform language means like Python is platform independent at development and also at production. At development and production, we can use it here. Okay. So when we say about this Python software, when we say about Python language, it is Python Software Foundation or Python community. They have developed a Python for different operating systems. So here you can see in downloads, it is given here. Download latest version for Windows and looking for Python for different operating systems like Unix, Linux, Mac OS, and other operating systems. So here, Python community, Python Software Foundation, they have developed a Python software which works in different operating systems like Windows, Unix, Linux, Mac OS, and other operating systems. So it depends on the requirement, we can use it. Now I'm using Python in Windows. I'm using here. Okay, so in Windows I'm using. So in your company, in your office, they may not suggest to use Windows. So they may suggest you to use Unix or Linux. Okay, because Windows is not free software, and if they want to buy license for many users, they have to pay lakhs of rupees. So instead of that, they will ask to use a Linux operating system. They may ask to use. Okay, so so in that case, like Ubuntu or Linux flavors are there that I'll show you now. So Linux flavors we can use here. Okay. So when we say about Python here, Python is a platform independent at development. So while learning Python, while practicing Python, while developing applications in Python, we can use any OS. You can download the software and you can use it. So in my classes, I'll tell how to install in Windows. If you are using Linux OS or if you are using Mac OS, then I will tell how to get the software, how to install. I will tell. If you are in the case if you are using other operating system, I will tell you the steps how to do the installation. So here, Python software works in any flavor of Unix or Linux. It will works here. So Python software or Python language works in any flavor of Unix or Linux. Like it will works in any flavor of Unix. Today we are discussing about flavors only. So it works in any flavor of Unix like Sun, Solaris, then IBM AX, HP UX, AT&T's, then VR4, BSD Unix, DEC Unix, Mac OS, then SCO Unix, all these are there. And Python software or Python language works in any flavor of Linux, like Ubuntu, Fedora, Linux Mint, OpenSCSC, PC, Linux OS, Debian, Mandriva, Sabian, Gentoo, all these are there. Okay, so in IT companies, you can see that they'll be using Ubuntu or Fedora, Linux flavors. Like Ubuntu and Fedora are very popular. Okay, so like a Python installation using Python in Ubuntu Fedora is also very easy. You can easily work with. So if you know few commands, then you can work in those operating systems also you can work with. So here, Python software we can use in any operating system, and it works in Python is a platform independent at production also. Not only at development and production also it is independent. So when we develop Python application, let us say if I develop Python application in Windows, and if I want to run in Unix or Linux or Mac OS, without any changes it will run. So how it is possible is through PVM, through Python virtual machine. So when we install that software, Python virtual machine in that machine, target machine, then uh, then the program application will run in any OS, in any machine it is going to work. So that machine may use any CPU architecture like hardware configuration. So it will runs. Okay. So we can use a Python software or Python language in any OS because the softwares are available. Okay. And we can use Python application. We can run Python application in any OS through PVM. It is going to work in any machine, in any OS. It is going to execute. And here you can see fourth option is that is free open source and redistribution is there here. Okay. So Python software is free software. We can download and we can use it. And Python software is open source. So we can open the Python file and we can see what code is given, what functions are created, all these we can check. And here you can see redistribution is also there here. Okay, so redistribution means we can customize the code according to the requirement. So here this Python is for 2 months, core and advanced Python. So while learning Python, students will learn many modules, many functions, all these. Okay. And after completing Python, if they join as freshers in companies, whatever they learn here, they'll implement in the project, in first and second project like that. Okay. So while learning the course, while working on first or second project, if they want to know, if somebody says, like, I want to know what is missing in Python, I want to customize the code, it is not possible. Okay, so here a lot of things are there to learn, implement also. So those who are having 5 6 years experience on Python, like those who are master in Python, those who are expert in Python, those who are working as software analyst, or those who are working as a project managers, in those who are in top level, so they'll be knowing what is not there in Python, what is missing in Python, and they can customize the code according to their requirements in the project. Whatever code that is customized, they can give it to other Python programmers so that they can use in their project. That is called what? Redistributing the code to others, so that the code can be used in other projects. So here customization is possible. So whatever modules developed by the Python developers, whatever code developed by the Python community, Python Software Foundation, so we can customize it. We can customize and we can use it, and that is we can customize the code, and that we can use in the same project and other projects also we can use. That is called as redistribution. So students, I'm stopping now, and tomorrow we'll continue with other features like object-oriented programming, memory management. All these are there. And then we'll discuss about what are the types of applications that we can develop in project in Python. Okay. And then we'll see the installation, interactive mode, batch mode, all these we'll see one by one. And those are interested to continue the classes, so please talk to online team, then join for this batch. Then I will send you the videos and notes is there, no? So notes also I'll send to your mail IDs. Okay. Okay, students. So okay, then I'm stopping now. Tomorrow we'll continue with Python features and other concepts we'll discuss. Okay.